also have some transitions during the program. Please be patient during these times. Phones should be put on silent and turn off your flash while taking pictures. Enjoy the LIS spring and show. Our first piece, Creature Feature, challenges us to play with contrast, smooth legato lines, sudden staccato notes, and dynamic surprises. We worked hard to balance the eerie melodies with the bold rhythmic sections. Listen for how we bring out the playful, mysterious characters in the music.
The fifth grade band will be closing out a portion of the concert with the iconic theme from the movie Star Wars. Williams' legendary theme is one of the most recognizable melodies in film history. It represents hope, adventure, and the amazing journey of Luke Skywalker.
Playing this arrangement challenged us to capture that epic spirit. We focused on crisp rhythms and soaring melodies to capture the heroic spirit of Star Wars. Pay attention to how the brass and woodwind instruments trade the famous theme, just like the Rebels and the Empire clash in the galaxy.
Fun fact, John Williams wrote this theme in triple forte at Mecca, which means really loud. So we worked hard to play with power while keeping our sound controlled and balanced. May the Force be with us.
people as a just ruler, he was also an aggressive and ruthless warrior.
He united the tribes of the Hun nation and expanded it to include the many Germanic tribes. This aggressive work shows its musical depiction of Attila and his army on the sea.
Our next selection will be Fiddles on Fire, composed by Mark Williams. Rawson up the bow, call out the fire department, and let's go. This lively, energetic piece gives the string players a chance to show off some new skills on a fun fiddling piece.
Please enjoy the Sixth Grade Orchestra and String Ensemble performing Fiddles on Fire. band to the stage. This will only be a few minutes. Thank you for your patience. Our first piece, Electric Orchestra, helps us develop strong, confident attacks and precise music. The fanfare style requires clean cutoffs and careful listening to balance the brass and woodwinds. Listen for the bright, soaring energy we worked hard to create. Pushed us to play with relentless energy and rhythmic percussion, especially in the jabbing percussion and synthesis accents.
We practice controlling our dynamics to build intensity from the quiet open to the powerful climax. See if you can hear the wave-like momentum.
Our final piece, Dark Ride, is a musical roller coaster full of twists and turns and thrilling surprises. But it isn't just any ride. Imagine an evil circus where the melodies twist like carnival music gone wrong, and the rhythms slurp like a haunted carousel.
To create this spooky atmosphere, we focused on sudden dynamic shifts, eerie distances, and punchy accents. Watch your step as we take you through this attraction. Keep your hands in the vehicle, and whatever you do, don't look back.
LIS string players were Ayana B on the violin, Rima C on the cello, Ryan B on the bass, Lasita M on the violin, Vaught P on the viola,
Claudia S. on the viola, Zaire V. on the violin, Nina V. on the violin, Devesh Y. on the violin, Sia V. on the cello. All the students performed in the Blue Orchestra, which was conducted by Ms. Clark. There were over 100 string players performing in the orchestra. At this time, the Honors Orchestra students will be performing Fiddle Faddle Hoedown by Tom Sharp. This piece was performed at the CGME Honors Orchestra concert last Saturday.
Whatever that might be, exhilaration is the mutual expression of the emotions that surround these memorable times. Keep all of these moments in mind as you listen to the energy and sound of this music from the orchestra. Enjoy the 5-6 orchestra perform exhilaration.
campfire has been an American tradition since before colonial days. Campfire songs with immediately fun, familiar tunes that have been singing along with favorites of summer campers, hikers, and even cowboys on the range.
Within campfire songs, you will hear This Old Man, In a Cabin in the Wood, Bingo, Kumbaya, The Wheels on the Bus, and This Little Light of Mine. Come gather around the campfire and join in the fun.
Seven Nation Army is a song by American rock duo The White Stripes. It is the opening track on their fourth studio album, Elephant. This was a song that the sixth graders played for an orchestra play-along on YouTube that the students loved so much so we purchased the orchestra arranged to play this school year.
Thank you, Tristan N, for performing on the drum set and Ryan E on the electric bass. It was Thursday at 9 p.m. Welcome.
custodians, and all the entire staff that helped support the young musicians in their musical journey. We are especially grateful for the fabulous custodians for helping set up the chairs and stands for the extended rehearsal and tonight's concert. Thank you to the LTPS Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Robin Glenn, Vice President the Garcia, Assistant Superintendent for Student Services, Mr. Neil Desai, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Ms. Jan Musi, Director of Student Achievement, Equality and Opportunity.
Ms. Elaine Jones, Director of School Counseling and Student Support. Ms. Thomas Eldridge, Business Administrator, Board Secretary. Ms. Shauna M. Fry, Director of Personnel and Administrative Service. We appreciate all the support of the LTPS youth program.
We would also like to thank the Lawrence Township Education Foundation, LTEF, for their continued support of the arts at LIS. We're very grateful to be able to present this concert using some new audio equipment purchased using grants from the LTEF, including new speakers and a new mixer. Thank you to Dr. G for working with the Orchestra students that embarked on the spring concert songs we heard tonight.
LTPS is offering a free summer music program for rising 5th to 9th grade students from July 8th to August 1st. Registration form is at the end of the program. Instrumental lessons are open to returning students. If students want to play a new instrument, they can only sign up for that instrument and not both. Please see Mr. Kimber if you have any questions. Thank you.
But clearly not least, thank you to all the families that supported our young musicians, faculty support, and your support. The students would not have success without yours.
Wishing everyone a wonderful holiday season. We look forward to continuing to work with instrumental students throughout the school year and beyond.
Hi everyone, we're the LIS Jazz Band and we're so excited to play for you today. Get ready to hear two tracks of our jazz band today. First up, we have Rock Hero by Victor Lopez. This bold song captures the spirit of rock and roll with powerful brass and our driving rhythm section. Then we'll shift to Function Junction by Gov Beach. A funky, high-energy chart full of tight rhythms and infectious grooves. Thank you.
Okay, so before the jazz band performs, and I'm really excited for everyone to hear the jazz band, it's our advanced band at LIS. These kids have worked extremely hard. I just wanted to recognize our 4 students who participated in the CDMA Elementary Honors Band. My partner, please stand up and accept your medal. Okay, Lila Schwartzer, Gracie Brown from Clara, Colette Valentino on clarinet, and Joseph Miller on flute. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do it now.